Well, we want to start off this hour by talking about U.S. policies of interventionism in the past, present, and future. This country is notorious, after all, for occupying foreign countries with the goals ranging from retaliation to instilling democracy to stopping a civil war. And quite often, the U.S. government and military alike are surprised at what they find, that people in those countries don't want them there, and in many cases will risk or sacrifice their own lives to make sure they leave. We're seeing a new low point in America's longest war unfolding as we speak. Riots in Afghanistan, as citizens there protest the accidental burning of Korans by U.S. military personnel at the Bagram Air Base. At least 4 American soldiers have been killed and many more Afghan citizens, and there's beginning to be a sense that the battle to win the hearts and minds there is unwinnable. I want to talk more about this and also about how what we're seeing is part of a larger trend, and how that trend could take everyone in this country down a dangerous path if things don't change dramatically. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts is a columnist, but also spent several years working as an official with the Reagan administration. Dr. Roberts, I don't know about you, but I've been hearing a lot of people quite shocked at the reaction in Afghanistan by the Afghan people to this incident of burning the Muslim holy books last week, despite apologies issued by President Obama and General John Allen. Do you think this is an illustration of just a lack of understanding in this region?
Well, it could be, Christine, the straw that broke the camel's back. The United States has been there 10 years, murdering women, children, village elders, aid workers, blowing up schools, hospitals, farmers' homes. I mean, maybe they've had enough. Otherwise, it's sort of inexplicable that for 10 years they didn't mind when we bombed funerals and weddings, but all of a sudden they get mad because we burned a couple of their holy books. I tend to think it's just sort of like the final straw, and that finally you see what tends to happen in these countries, Christine, is one side or the other wants the Americans to come in to put them in power. And so the countries are split. If they weren't split, the Americans wouldn't be able to go in the first place.
True. I mean, but do you think that that what we're seeing in Afghanistan right now could sort of prompt a rethinking of how long we stay there? I know we were supposed to be there, have a significant U.S. presence there until 2014. You said this could be the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, do you think they're going to have to sort of devise a new plan here? Well,
no one knows what the plan is. If you remember, one of the early questions to Obama when he came into office was, what is the mission in Afghanistan? And he said, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Well, he's never told us. So they don't even know why they're there. I think mainly they're there because the military security complex gets rich off of it and is a great supplier of campaign funds. And that's one main reason they're there. And another main reason is it's part of this neoconservative American hegemony idea. But there's no clear mission, and they don't know why they're there, and they're not getting anywhere.
Well, let's take it out of Afghanistan for a moment and just sort of broaden this a little bit. You've seen this sort of occupation thing happen quite a few times since you've been serving in government. Is there deja vu here, or is each sort of occupation very different?
Well, usually they don't stay so long, except for Germany. They're still in Germany after World War II, 60-something years, I suppose it is, and in Japan. But that was a different kind of occupation because the troops weren't there shooting up the country. But in Iraq and Afghanistan, they're there shooting up the country, and they've not been successful in either place. We finally had to get out of Iraq because they couldn't even occupy Baghdad, and they finally had to put the Sunni insurgents on the U.S. military payroll and pay them to quit fighting. And they haven't been able to do that with the Taliban. And so were they going to stay another 10 years and spend trillions of more dollars and achieve no result? They don't control the country. They're not getting anywhere, and they don't even know what the mission is.
It's pretty interesting when you sort of look back and kind of look at the different, I mean, there are some similar strategies used. I want to look ahead, though, for a moment, Dr. Roberts. I know that you've written a little bit about the situation in Syria, and you write, what the Ministry of Truth calls peaceful protesters brutalized by Assad's military are, in fact, rebels armed and financed by Washington. Washington has fomented a civil war. You said it claims its intention is to rescue the oppressed and abused Syrian people from Assad, just as Washington rescued and oppressed, abused Libyan people from Gaddafi. Talk a little bit about Syria and what you mean when you say this is thanks to Obama, another country has been destroyed.
Well, Libya's destroyed. You know, they have these clashing militias terrorizing everybody. It's far worse than it ever was. And so nothing was achieved there that is consistent with the claims. What was achieved in Libya was they messed up the Chinese oil investments in eastern Libya, which was probably the purpose. Now, Syria, you know, Assad has come out and held this referendum that will change the way the country's governed. Other political parties are going to be able to compete for the presidency. It means that the likelihood of the continued rule of his party will be over. And so this is a positive step. But what did Washington do? They denounced it. and they are not supporting it now. And they're encouraging the so-called rebels that they're behind and not to support it because they want to overthrow him. So why do they want to overthrow him? It may just be they like to exercise power and they enjoy the hubris and arrogance that goes with the power. But there's no real reason to overthrow a system that has been put into the mode of change. If they overthrow it, what will it be? It'll be like Libya. There'll be all these clashing militias, there'll be a civil war, people will continue to die, and things will fall apart. The infrastructure will be destroyed, people will leave, like in Iraq, you know, they had just several million people have to leave. And so there's no purpose for Washington's position. It doesn't serve any interests that they say. So they may, either they have a hidden agenda that they won't declare, that is, Washington has a hidden agenda, or it doesn't know what it's doing.
It certainly is interesting when you look at it from that historic perspective. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts joining us from Panama City, Florida.